My dear students, let us start our 43rd lesson, and today we will start with the other portion of your syllabus, that is text. We have already completed the grammar section of your syllabus, and now let us start with the text section. Text comprises two sections, prose and poetry. And in fact, it's not just your syllabus. In fact, any language actually comprises of two portions, two sections, prose and poetry. Prose. First, let us start with prose. Prose has been derived from Latin. Latin is the language of ancient Romans, and in English it means straight word or direct discourse. Anything that is in a straightforward manner or direct manner, that is called as prose. Prose is the usual or ordinary form of written or spoken language. Or in other words, we also say it is any language that is not made patterned. That means there is no pattern in it by the regularity of some kind of meter. So it moves straightforward. It's not, there is no pattern in it, there is no meter in it, so it moves straightforward. That's called as prose. Prose is capable of infinite variety. It includes, in fictional prose we say, it includes stories, it includes short stories, it includes novels, it includes drama, and in non-fictional prose it includes essays, it includes articles, it includes paragraphs, etc. Number two is poetry. The word poetry has been derived from Greek language, and it means, in English it means creator. Poetry is elevated expression of elevated thoughts or feelings in metrical form. That means higher. In fact, we can say highest thoughts or feelings, and they are expressed in a also in an elevated way. That means in a more perfect way, or most perfect way, we can the most perfect way in metrical form, and there is meter in it. That means there is a pattern in it, it adds music to it, and ultimately what we get, that is poetry. When thoughts are presented, elevated thoughts, higher thoughts are presented in a higher form of language, in a most sophisticated form of language, in metrical form, in a musical form, we can say, that is called as poetry. It contains some element of repetition. There is a repetition, there are repetitions, and that creates a pattern, and that's why there is a meter in it, what we call as. It refers to literary compositions, whatever language, or we say compositions, which aren't in prose. That means they are not in ordinary or usual form, but they are presented in a metrical form. It includes like poems, it includes, we can say, lyrics, we can say it includes also epics. These are the different forms of poetry, they are in it, etc. My dear students, first we will start with the poetry section of your textbook. But before coming to that section, before starting any poetry from your text section, first we will discuss what are poetic techniques or poetic devices, or they are also called as figures of speech or figurative language. Figures of speech, not parts of speech, but figures of speech. It's when language is used in such a way to express more in an impressive way. Especially we use poetic devices. No doubt some poetic devices are also used in prose, but more often we use poetic devices or poetic techniques or figures of speech in poetry. It includes like simile. You must have heard about simile, metaphor, personification, irony, sarcasm, rhyme scheme, rhyming couplet, symbolism, hyperbole, and the list goes on, etc. First, we will start with simile. Simile, it's a poetic device, and it is direct comparison between two persons. We define it as a direct comparison between two persons or two objects having same quality or some similarity. On that basis, they are being compared with each other. And in simile, words like, as, or, than, these three words, like, as, than, they are used for comparison. For example, she is as gentle as dove. So, somebody, a girl, she has been compared with dove, a bird. And what is the similarity or same quality between the two, between them? And that is gentleness, this quality. So here you can see word as has been used, and it has been made clear to us it's a direct comparison. What is the quality between the two objects, on what basis they have been compared. Or look at this example, her face is bright like the moon. So somebody's face has been compared with the moon, and what is the similarity between the two objects? That is bright. So here also you can see word like has been used. He is fierce like a lion. So again, the similarity is fierce. Somebody, a person has been compared with a lion, and the quality between them, which is present in both of them, that is being fierce or fierceness. Or she is more bold than her sister. She and her sister, they have been compared, and on what basis they have been compared? They have been compared on boldness, and but we are told that she is more bold than her sister. Again, you can see here than has been used. So in direct comparison, in simile, words like an, as, or than, they are used for comparison. Then comes the next poetic device or poetic technique, that is metaphor. Metaphor, it's also a comparison, but it's an indirect comparison between two persons or two objects having some similarity. There is always an ambiguity in it. That means we are not told why the comparison has been made. We have to find it ourselves, either the previous lines or the next lines. They tell us on what basis the two objects have been compared. So in metaphor, you will always find an ambiguity. There is not, it's not has, no, there is no clear sign why, clearly we are not told clearly why the objects have been compared. For example, he is a lion. If we say this, so on, if somebody is here, somebody is compared with a lion, but on what basis? Is it that he is brave like a lion, he is fierce like a lion, or he is majestic, or what we call as kingly like a lion? So it will depend on the context. In which context, either the previous lines or the next lines, they will tell us something about it. Similarly, her face is a garden. So somebody's face has been compared with a garden. So because in garden, but we are not told on what basis the comparison has been made. In garden, you find freshness, there is fragrance coming from different flowers, colorfulness, because the garden is colorful due to the presence of so many these flowers present in the garden of different colors, or the softness of flowers and grass. So if somebody's face is compared with a garden, is it on the basis that it seems fresh, or it is fragrant, or it's colorful, like cheeks are pink, lips are red, eyes are white, and the color of face is also, we can say, bright, or it's on the basis of softness. So in metaphor, since it is an indirect comparison, we are not clearly told why the comparison has been made. We have to find it ourselves. This is for today, and in our next lesson we will discuss other poetic devices. Thank you. Have a nice time.